Anthony Joshua to join Oleksandr Usyk's team. Now, what does this mean for Ben Davison? I guess we will find out soon. So my question for you guys is, do you think that Oleksandr Usyk's team can rejuvenate Anthony Joshua? Do you think that Usyk's team can bring back the Anthony Joshua that we knew a few years ago? Get in the comment section and let me know. But the details of this news is quite interesting. So let me tell you more about this. So this was reported by the Ring magazine in an article that is titled, "Is the returning Anthony Joshua about to join Oleksandr Usyk's team?" And the article goes into detail about the fact that Anthony Joshua had visited Oleksandr Usyk's training facility in Valencia in Spain. I will put the link of the article in the description and you can check it out yourself. So with Anthony Joshua, this sort of thing is not strange because he's done it before. If you guys would remember, after the first Oleksandr Usyk loss, Joshua got rid of Robert McCracken. He visited the US and he trained with almost every trainer in the US. And this was a big news back then. Joshua trained with everyone. He ended up teaming up with Robert Garcia for the rematch with Oleksandr Usyk, which in fact he did very well in that fight. But he lost. He performed better than the first fight. And then he teamed up with Derek James on a few fights after that. And then he recently teamed up with Ben Davison, which the last time we saw that partnership was in that Daniel Dubois fight where he got absolutely demolished. So it is not strange for Joshua to go about visiting training camps, seeing what works for him, what does not work for him, and then looking to partner with the best training camp and go from there. But I think it's really interesting because Anthony Joshua definitely feels like there is more to come from him. I don't think Joshua thinks that it's time to retire yet. I think a lot of people have had the opinions after the Daniel Dubois loss that he should retire. But I don't think Joshua wants to retire. I think Joshua feels like there's a little bit more in the tank and he's got more to give to boxing. So look, I'm interested to see how this partnership potentially goes. Now, if you ask me if this is a very good partnership and is this going to work, I would say, I don't know. Simply because Oleksandr Usyk is not the same as Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua does not have the same characteristics, have the same style. Anthony Joshua is a totally different fighter to Oleksandr Usyk and to someone like Vasily Lomachenko. And we know that Oleksandr Usyk's team is probably the best team in boxing. They are undefeated, they're very professional, they're very meticulous, they're very scientific with the way they train, they're very disciplined. And we can see that in Usyk's work. Usyk is a prime example of what a fighter in 2025, 2026 has to be. Usyk is the ultimate champion. Usyk is a consummate professional, an absolute machine. And I think anyone joining Usyk's team is definitely going to benefit from the experience that they have. But one thing that we must realize is that what works for one fighter does not work for the other, because the dynamics of a trainer and a boxer's relationship is always so different. Anthony Joshua thinks differently to Usyk. Anthony Joshua's body composition, body shape is totally different. Anthony Joshua processes things differently to the way Usyk processes things. So I am not entirely sure how this partnership will play out. But one thing that I know for sure is that Anthony Joshua is going to be super fit. Like, Joshua's condition is going to be incredible if he indeed joins Oleksandr Usyk's team, because we know one thing that Oleksandr Usyk is renowned for is his cardio. Usyk is a 15-round fighter. Absolutely. And a lot of fighters and a lot of pundits have talked about his training regime and the things that he does. If Joshua joins this team, then he will definitely be in a camp where they'll be able to get the best out of his condition. And I think that's criticism that Joshua has gotten over the years about his condition, about his gas tank, and not being able to sustain a fight until the 12th round. For example, in that first Oleksandr Usyk fight, Usyk made Joshua look like he had not trained, because Usyk's condition was incredible. And almost at the end of the 12th round, you could see Joshua was absolutely exhausted, because Usyk had made Joshua work so much that Joshua was just absolutely done on his feet. And that is the condition that, for me, I think Joshua would benefit from Oleksandr Usyk comes. In terms of technical ability and boxing know-how, we're yet to see, because, as I said, it is not always guaranteed that a particular fighter works well with a particular trainer. It just depends on relationship, and it depends on how the training method of that particular trainer works well with that particular fighter. It is always different across the board. In terms of seeing Anthony Joshua in the ring, Eddie Hearn, I believe, mentioned recently that Anthony Joshua should be back this year in the ring on the undercard somewhere. So it'll be interesting to see what he's going to do, who he's going to fight next.
Ed, you said on the DAZN broadcast tonight that AJ will fight before the end of 2025. Now, rewind less than 24 hours ago, you told me there's no chance he's going to fight in 2025. He's fighting in 2026. That's word for word what you said yesterday. What has changed in the last 24 hours?
24 hours is a long time in boxing. What did Bob Arum say? Yesterday I was lying, today I'm telling the truth.
I don't expect Joshua to be in there with a world beater because he's coming off a devastating loss to Daniel Dubois at Wembley. He needs to recover from that. He's coming off a shoulder injury, I believe. He needs to recover from that. So I think Joshua's next fight is not going to be against any world level fighters, but I think it's going to be with a fighter where he can learn a few things, where he can get back into the groove and potentially work on things with his new trainer, which is Oleksandr Usyk, and get going again. So it'll be interesting to see how Anthony Joshua comes back and adapts to this whole thing. So you guys get in the comment section and let me know what you think about Anthony Joshua potentially joining Oleksandr Usyk's team. Do you think it's a good matchup? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think Anthony Joshua has a little bit more left in him at this stage in his career to come back? Do you think there's anything that the team can do to bring the old Joshua that we knew back? Or do you think it is too late? There's nothing that Usyk's team can do. Anthony Joshua is damaged and he's not going to be anything that we knew before. Get in the comment section and let me know. My name is Bright. This is the Bright Show Podcast Boxing. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys on the next one.